The day my father married Diana marked the beginning of my personal hell. I was 15 when she moved into our home, bringing her designer clothes, expensive perfumes, and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. My father, still grieving from my mother's death 2 years earlier, was completely blind to her true nature. "Sophie," she'd say, her voice dripping with fake sweetness whenever my father was within earshot, "I hope we can be good friends. I know I could never replace your mother, but I want us to be close." But the moment my father left for work, the mask would slip. Her warm smile would turn cold, her gentle voice would sharpen like a knife, and I would see the real Diana, the one who saw me as nothing but an obstacle to her perfect new life. It started small at first. My things would mysteriously disappear. Photos of my mother, jewelry she had given me, little keepsakes I treasured. When I confronted Diana, she'd gasp in mock concern, "Oh, Sophie, are you sure you didn't misplace them? You know how scattered teenagers can be." Then came the renovations. Diana convinced my father that our house needed updating, starting with my bedroom. "The poor dear needs a fresh start," she told him, while shooting me a knowing smirk. "We'll make it beautiful." I came home from school one day to find my entire room had been emptied. My bed, my desk, my books, everything was gone. Diana stood in the doorway, examining her manicured nails. "Where are my things?" I demanded, my heart pounding. "In the garage," she said casually. "This room is being converted into my personal yoga studio. You understand, don't you? A woman needs her space." I ran to find my father, but Diana had already poisoned his mind. "Sophie, honey," he said, not meeting my eyes, "it's just temporary. Diana needs somewhere to practice her yoga. It's important for her health. The garage is perfectly fine for now." The garage, a cold, damp space filled with old tools and boxes. Diana had thrown an old mattress on the floor and called it my new room. No insulation, no proper heating, just concrete walls and the constant smell of motor oil. "You don't deserve better," Diana whispered when my father wasn't around. "You're just taking up space in our home. Be grateful I don't convince your father to send you to boarding school." I learned to survive in that garage. During winter, I buried myself under every blanket I could find, trying to stay warm as the temperature dropped below freezing. During summer, the heat was suffocating, but Diana refused to let me install even a small fan. "Electricity costs money," she'd say with a cruel smile. My father, consumed by his work and Diana's manipulation, barely noticed my suffering. When I tried to tell him how Diana treated me, she would burst into tears, claiming I was trying to ruin their marriage because I couldn't accept her as my new mother. "Why can't you just try to get along?" my father would plead, while Diana dabbed at her eyes with an expensive silk handkerchief. "She's doing her best." The final straw came on my 18th birthday. I had been accepted to several colleges, including my dream school, Columbia University. My mother had left money for my education, a fact that had always irritated Diana. That evening, I overheard them talking in their bedroom. "Darling," Diana purred, "I've been thinking about Sophie's college fund. It's such a waste to spend all that money on her. She'll probably drop out anyway. Why don't we use it for something more practical, like that vacation home in the Hamptons we've been discussing?" I waited for my father to defend me, to remind her that the money was from my mother, meant for my future. Instead, I heard him sigh. "You might be right. Sophie's never been very academically inclined. Maybe a year at community college would be better." That night, I made my decision. I wouldn't give Diana the satisfaction of stealing my future. I waited until they were asleep, then crept from my garage bedroom into the house. My father kept all important documents in his home office, including the details of my college fund. It took me less than an hour to find everything I needed. The account was in my name, with my mother listed as the trustee until I turned 18. Diana had no legal right to it, and now that I was 18, neither did my father. I transferred every penny into a new account under my name alone. Then I packed what little I owned, wrote a brief note to my father, and walked out of that house forever. The first year was hard. I worked 2 jobs while attending Columbia full-time, studying business and finance just as my mother had always encouraged me to do. My tiny apartment in a questionable neighborhood was barely bigger than the garage, but at least it was mine. Diana tried to reach me at first, leaving voicemails full of threats about what she'd do when she found me. My father called too, his messages alternating between anger and pleading. I changed my number and focused on my future. I discovered I had a talent for real estate investment. It started small, buying and renovating a rundown apartment with a loan and my remaining college fund. I sold it for twice what I'd paid, then used the profits to buy 2 more properties. By the time I graduated, I owned a small portfolio of profitable properties. While my classmates were applying for entry-level jobs, I was launching my own property development company. I had learned from Diana's cruelty that having your own space, your own sanctuary, was priceless. I wanted to create beautiful homes for people who deserved them. 10 years passed. My company, Phoenix Properties, grew from a small startup into one of the most successful luxury real estate firms in New York. I specialized in transforming neglected properties into stunning estates, each one a testament to my belief that everyone deserved a beautiful place to call home. My latest project was my masterpiece, a magnificent mansion in the Hamptons, the kind of house Diana had once dreamed of owning. I had bought it at auction, a neglected property with good bones and a prime location. After a year of careful renovation, it had become my personal residence and the flagship property in my portfolio. I rarely thought about Diana anymore, or my father. Last I'd heard, he had lost most of his money in bad investments, forced to sell their house and move into a modest apartment. Diana had been furious, but with no access to my mother's money, she had to accept their reduced circumstances. Then came the day my assistant forwarded me an application for the housekeeping position at my Hamptons estate. The name on the resume made my heart stop. Diana Mitchell. I stared at the application for a long time, memories of that cold garage flooding back. Diana had no idea she was applying to work for the stepdaughter she had once banished to live among old tools and dusty boxes. Should I reject the application? My assistant asked, knowing some of my history. No, I said slowly, a plan forming in my mind. Schedule an interview, but don't tell her who owns the property. Let's see what happens when she realizes exactly who she'll be working for. I picked up the application again, studying the desperate tone of her cover letter. She needed this job badly, her references were poor, and her work history showed a pattern of being fired for her attitude. The garage had been her way of putting me in what she considered my proper place. Now, life had presented me with a perfect opportunity to do the same to her. I leaned back in my chair, enjoying her discomfort. I believe in second chances, Diana, and it seems you're in need of one. Your rental apartment is 3 months behind in payments. Your credit cards are maxed out. My father's pension barely covers your basic expenses. You need this job. Her eyes widened. How do you know all that? I make it my business to know everything about potential employees. The position pays well, $5,000 a month with room and board included. The staff quarters are quite comfortable. Not as comfortable as my garage was, of course, but I'm sure you'll manage. Tears welled in her eyes, whether from humiliation or desperation. I couldn't tell. Sophie, please. I know I treated you badly. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Are you? Are you sorry for what you did, or sorry that you're now in a position where you need my help? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. We both knew the truth. Here are my terms, I continued, sliding a contract across the desk. You'll work 6 days a week, maintaining the same standards of cleanliness you once demanded in your own home. You'll live in the staff quarters, follow all house rules, and most importantly, you'll remember your place. Diana stared at the contract, her hands shaking. And if I refuse? I smiled. Then you can return to your overdue apartment and mounting debts. The choice is yours. Though I should mention, I bought your apartment building last month. If you refuse this position, I'm afraid I'll have to start eviction proceedings immediately. Her head snapped up, eyes wide with shock. You planned this? All of it? Let's just say I believe in karma. I stood up, walking to the window. You have 5 minutes to decide. The contract or the door, your choice. Those 5 minutes stretched in tense silence. Finally, I heard the scratch of her pen on paper. When I turned back, Diana had signed the contract, her signature shaky but legible. Welcome to my home, I said softly. Emma will show you to your quarters. You start immediately. As Diana stood to leave, I added, oh, and Diana, the garage needs cleaning. That will be your first task. The next few months were a study in poetic justice. Diana, who had once strutted through our house like a queen, now scrubbed floors and cleaned windows under the watchful eyes of my staff. Every morning, she put on the simple uniform I provided, so different from her once fashionable wardrobe. She did try to rebel at first, small acts of defiance like accidentally breaking an expensive vase or being slow to respond to requests. Each incident resulted in a formal warning and a reminder that she was one step away from eviction. Gradually, she learned her place. The imperious woman who had made my teenage years a nightmare was replaced by a quiet, efficient housekeeper who kept her eyes down and did as she was told. My father called when he found out I had hired Diana. "Sophie, please," he begged. "She's your stepmother. This isn't right." "No, Dad," I replied calmly. "What wasn't right was letting her abuse your daughter while you looked the other way. Diana is my employee now, nothing more. She's learning the same lesson she once taught me. What it feels like to be powerless in someone else's home." 6 months into her employment, I found Diana in the garage late one night, sitting on an old chair, tears streaming down her face. "I used to make you sleep here," she whispered when she saw me, "in the cold and dark. How could I have been so cruel?" For the first time, I saw real remorse in her eyes. Not just regret for her current situation, but genuine understanding of the pain she had caused. "Stand up," I said quietly. She did, wiping her eyes quickly. "Tomorrow morning, you'll find new quarters prepared for you in the East Wing. A proper room with heating and a private bathroom. You've proven yourself capable of change, so I'm offering you what you never offered me, a chance at dignity." She stared at me in disbelief. "Why? After everything I did?" "Because I'm not you," I replied simply. "I won't let your cruelty define who I am. You taught me what it feels like to be powerless, but you also taught me the importance of wielding power with grace." From that day forward, something shifted in our dynamic. Diana remained my housekeeper, but she worked with a new sense of purpose. The snide comments and acts of rebellion ceased entirely. Instead, she became known among the staff for her dedication and attention to detail. 1 year to the day after I hired her, I called Diana into my office again. She entered cautiously, no doubt remembering our first meeting in this room. "Sit down," I said, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. "I've been reviewing your performance over the past year." She sat stiffly, hands folded in her lap. "Have I done something wrong?" "No," I smiled slightly. "Actually, you've exceeded expectations. The head housekeeper position at my new development in Manhattan has opened up. It comes with a significant pay increase and a private apartment. Would you be interested?" Diana's eyes filled with tears, but these were different from the tears of humiliation she'd shed a year ago. "You would trust me with that responsibility?" "You've earned it," I replied. "You've shown that people can change when they're given the right motivation. The position is yours if you want it." She took a shaky breath. "Sophie, I know I can never undo what I did to you. But I want you to know, I understand now. Everything I did, everything I was wrong. You deserved so much better." I nodded slowly. "Yes, I did. But this isn't about the past anymore. This is about the future, and whether you're ready to build a better one." "I am," she said firmly. "And thank you. Not just for the job, but for showing me that true strength isn't about pushing others down. It's about lifting them up, even when they don't deserve it." As I watched Diana leave my office that day, I thought about the girl I had been, sleeping in that cold garage, dreaming of escape. I had achieved more than escape. I had built an empire, created beautiful homes for others, and even managed to transform my greatest enemy into someone better. The garage still stands behind my mansion. I keep it exactly as it was, a reminder of where I came from and how far I've come. Sometimes when I pass by it, I remember Diana's words about not deserving better. She was wrong. Everyone deserves better, even those who once tried to convince us we didn't. Success isn't just about proving others wrong. Sometimes it's about showing them a better way to be right. Diana had tried to break my spirit in that garage, but instead she'd have forced me to build something stronger than she could ever imagine. Today, my real estate empire continues to grow. I create homes where people feel safe, valued, and worthy. Each property I develop is a testament to the truth I learned in that garage, that everyone deserves a place to call home, a place where they are treated with dignity and respect. And Diana, she runs my Manhattan property now, treating her staff with the kindness and respect she once denied me. Sometimes we even have coffee together, discussing business and life with a complexity neither of us could have imagined during those dark days in the garage. Life has a way of teaching us all lessons. Some learn them through success, others through failure. Diana learned hers by experiencing both, the fall from grace and the chance at redemption. As for me, I learned that the best revenge isn't about making others suffer. It's about succeeding so completely that you can afford to be generous, even to those who once showed you no generosity at all. That cold garage made me who I am today, but it's not where my story ended. It's where my real story began.